Why struggle through a post-merger integration when you can glide through it? Why deal with the PMI integration challenges when you can overcome them even before they occur? Why move slow when you can move at pace? What are the world's leading PMI experts doing right now to achieve profit-accelerating integrations? This podcast will give you all the answers to these questions and many more. My name is Dudley Peacock, and welcome to the 100 Days and Beyond podcast. Welcome to our latest office hours go live. So we're live today across multiple platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and LinkedIn, etc., and even on YouTube. And if you're open to sharing a few questions or making a few comments while I go through my office hours for today, please, you're welcome to pop it in the chat. You can even come on live if you want it on a future occasion. But welcome everyone. Office hours every Friday. It's essentially we deal with business issues in this session. I try and do it half an hour, 45 minutes. If the questions and all the interaction carries on longer, I don't have a problem carrying on longer. But I think if we do half an hour, I've got a few key things I want to share from the week. The goal for this office hour interaction is really for those that want to engage and I say and want to become part of a momentum or a cadence. So let me explain what that is. So the successful companies and the successful people in this world and what they tend to do, and I've done multiple things in my life, and the times that I've reached the best success was when I've looked at my life in terms of weekly planning and a very simple formula. What did I do this week? What am I doing next week? And what problems and issues and opportunities have arisen? And taking those three different elements, I think, are key to just getting a sense of where you're at. Okay, so in terms of this past week, most of my interactions with clients and people that I know and people that ask me for advice and so on have been around business development and marketing and so on. And many of you would know that I practice as a fractional CMO, fractional CMO being a fractional chief marketing officer. So it's all about marketing leadership, and it's about helping companies implement the marketing systems, processes, and even helping them select the right kind of people, job descriptions, or even job KPIs and OKRs, as they're known as well, some places, objectives and key results, OKR. You're welcome to, we can have a discussion about that at some stage. OKR is probably one of the easiest methodologies to apply when you have key objectives and results that you are measuring at any one time. But coming back to my formula, my weekly formula, the cadence that I'd like to share, just looking at every single week, seriously, just looking at every single week. What did I do this week? Go through your calendar, look at your calendars, look at how you've allocated your time. Who did you spend your time with? And what did you actually get achieved or get done? And what didn't you get done? If you then look at next week and you say, I'm going to look at my calendar and I'm going to start planning what I can do next week to maybe improve, to maybe move projects forward, and so on. So I'm not talking about to-do lists. I'm not talking about any of these serious project or task planning tools. In fact, there's so many of them out there. I don't even want to mention names, but there are many tasks and to-do lists and so on. And years now, I don't do a to-do list. I absolutely detest a to-do list. What I do is I create my calendar based on my to-do list that I know I need to achieve. Yes, I would have a set of tasks and things that I would like to accomplish or objectives I want to accomplish for the week. When I look back at the week, I say, this is how I allocated my time, because that's the one resource that you cannot get back again. You cannot get back this week that's just passed, last week, last month, last year, 5 years ago. And where you are today has got a lot to do with how you incrementally increase and improve your effectiveness in dealing with days, weeks, months, etc. But even taking the days and breaking them into hours, hours into minutes, and even the interactions that you got. So let's look at cadence, right? So the purpose behind our weekly office hours is at 9 o'clock British summertime right now, which is GMT +1 or UTC +1. At 9 a.m. on Friday mornings, we look at the cadence that you've managed to achieve for the week. What does your week look like next week? And what problems, issues, and opportunities have arisen? So if I look at this past week, my interactions, I would say the bulk of them have been focused on helping people around sales, marketing, and especially around the business development side of things. There are a few nuances that have come up, and there are a number of changes that have happened in the current market conditions that we're living in. The I would say the world has changed to the extent that we now need to be looking at things in a lot smarter, more effective way. All right, so if if you're looking at this past week, for me, the big debate has been about how do you divide and work on the the differences between the different skills and people within a sales and marketing team, and what does that actually look like? When we look at the sales and marketing and that whole business development cycle, there's so much going on. There's so much noise, I would say, out there about what's the best method to use and best tools and so on. And there's a proliferation of these things. But brass tacks is, if you are dealing with customers and you're dealing with them on a basis where you have got an organized system that not only generates new leads, but looks after existing customers and does the value add that needs to occur during the course of a week, you are definitely on the right track. So if we look at each week and we're saying, and we break it down, and let's say your role is in sales, marketing, or business development, or sales coordination, or even just you are the CEO or a manager or a director in a company, the biggest problems that I've seen this week, and the opportunities that have risen, especially for the clients and for the people that I've spoken to this week, the biggest opportunity you have is stop giving your salespeople too much work. And what do I mean by that? Salespeople are great at making promises. Salespeople are great at seeing the glass half full, at being optimistic, at being wanting to conquer the world, and are driven by incentives and driven by the endorphins and the excitement around a sale. But when you are in a management or a business ownership position and a leadership position, what you want to do is you want to harness that, but you don't want to drag that person down. So, for instance, a salesperson should not be doing things like administration, should not be setting, for instance, their own appointments, should not be sending out proposals. They should not be doing the mundane, time sapping, energy sapping activities. So imagine this perfect scenario. You have the ability to, let's say, if I break it down into 4 different levels. Level 1 is the company's reputation. If I deal with the company's reputation, what am I talking about? Is what is your reputation score with your clients? When your clients are happy with what you're doing, when you are delivering results, and you are getting 5-star ratings in all kinds of platforms. These days, we've got a Google location, and we've got other things. We've got things like testimonials, case studies, things that you can do there, and even using the privilege of having a customer saying, you know what, I don't mind being a reference site for you, or at least I'll be a reference for what you do and how you do it. The best is obviously to get a written testimonial, even a video-based testimonial, put that onto your marketing material, and so on. But if we're looking at reputation, the question is, how many of your customers, your suppliers, your stakeholders, even your employees are willing to put something in writing and pop that up onto your website and be public about how good you are in terms of the service delivery, your engagement, and the way that you work? How many of them would give you that freely? Is it just the top few percent that you deal with most of the time and you got a great relationship with? What about that middle bunch? If I had to break a customer base down into let's call it segments, the top 20% of your customers often bring in 80% of your revenue, but the top 20% of your customers become your ceiling to growth. What do I mean by that? So the top 20% of your customers is where you spend most of your time. So coming back into your calendar and the way that you plan your week, how much time are you spending on your top customers and not developing more top customers, and not developing the marketing materials, the outreach, the systems and processes to automate dealing with your top customers? How much time did you spend on that? How much time did you dedicate to that? If we're looking at where you should be growing your customer base, I think it should be in that middle 60%. So if I had to just divide a customer base, let's call it 100%, top 20% is where you spend a lot of your time, but where you get most of your revenue right now. But like I said, it could be your ceiling to growth. The next 60% are that loyal, quiet group that have bought from you once before, twice from you before, engaged maybe, but that you've forgotten about, that you've left to their own devices. You've left alone, and you've not given them the love and the care that you should have. You're not top of mind for them. You're not top of mind. You're not giving them the TLC that they need for them to do more business with you. I just want to fix the background. Okay. You're not giving them the top of mind, tender loving care for them to rebuy from you. So the competitors are eating away at that 60%. The bottom 20% would be the entirely neglected group of people. Have you done anything to have a look at that group of people? The bottom 20%, they might have bought from you once, but you've never heard from them again. What have you done to talk to them again, to ask them why have they only bought from you once? What are we saying? Or do we measure our customers by the current amount of money that they've spent with us? Or do we measure our customer base by the fact that they've engaged with us once, twice, 3 times, that they engage with us regularly? Are we giving them enough excuse to engage with us? So if I look at my cadence for the week and I say, what did we do this week that took us to the next step from a sales and marketing point of view, to the next step to grow the business, to raise the ceiling, to be more engaged with the entire customer base? Now, often small accounts can turn into big accounts. Often the middle group that you've neglected, in there are a number of golden nuggets sitting there waiting to be found. And are you setting up engagement campaigns that are automated? So if I had to break it down, I say reputation is number 1, reselling and referrals is number 2. If I had to create sort of layers. The foundation is your reputation, is the ability to look after existing customers and for them to be happy. Or if they're happy and you're looking after them well, you will be able to sell to them again. You will be able to get referrals from them again. If you looking at one new layer up, if you've got a good reputation, if you've got great testimonials and you're reselling and you've got long-standing customers, to get new customers, which is the third level up, which is the normal outreach and the cold outreach often, if you're doing the first two levels properly, the third level becomes a lot easier. Why? Because you understand your customers, you understand your customer base, you understand their needs, their wants. Because you've been able to resell them, you're getting a deeper, richer, broader understanding of that. Some people call it avatar or persona. You're getting a really good idea about the second level. You can then better define what the key needs and requirements are for your target audience, which means your messaging to cold outreach is going to be so much better quality-wise, etc. And then the third, after you've done your outreach and so on, and you've had a few people, let's say nibble or at least show a little bit of interest in terms of what you do, the fourth level is what we call either retargeting or nurturing those new outreach people, but also potentially even the existing customer base, especially those that you don't communicate regularly with. But if you look at the fourth level, the number 4 level of retargeting. So coming back to the cadence and the week, if you have a look at this past week, and I talk about reputation, the resell and referrals, if I talk about cold outreach, and I talk about retargeting or nurturing existing leads, people that may not have bought from you right now, but that you are constantly contacting, how much of your week have you or your company have you dedicated to those various activities? That is the key question for this week. I would like to challenge you to have a look at your calendar. And if you are a smallish business with 2, 3, 4, 5 sales people, marketing people, etc., the confusing part is that most organizations with small sales and marketing teams expect too much from the small group of people. And often what happens is there's a lot of noise and confusion and there's lack of performance. When you're expecting results, but you're not quite sure about what those results are, and all you are saying is, I'm checking my results based on what we call lag indicators. So did you make any sales for the week? Yes or no is a lag indicator, where you should rather be focusing on the activity indicators, the things that can be done on a daily basis that lead to results. So when we're talking about that, we're saying, if I'm making, for instance, in a very simple example, if I'm making 100 phone calls a day or 5 phone calls a day or sending out 50 emails or LinkedIn requests or whatever method of that you go to market, if I'm doing that every single day, the chances of me moving forward in terms of reaching my lag indicator, which is sales or marketing or happy customers or a growth in business or improved referrals and so on, if I'm doing all those lead indicators, my lag indicators happen by themselves. They are a result of the lead things that I'm busy with. So if we look at reputation, have I done enough this past week to build on my reputation? Have I been asking my customers or even people that I deal with to rate me on let's call it the Google locations, or rate me on my own rating platform, or provide me with a testimonial or case study? What have I done to expand my reputation for the week? What have I done in the second layer up? What have I done to sell more to my existing customers and get referrals? if I think about selling more to my existing customers, which ones am I selling to? Have I just got my favorite few that I keep returning to? Or do I have a group of people that I've not been focusing on, but now should be concentrating on and saying, my plan is anybody that's done business with me in the last 5 years, I'm going to, and I haven't heard from them, or 5, 10 years even, some companies are older than that. I'm going to get a Get Me Back campaign going. So my idea is to say, how do I message those people that have trusted me and liked me before to come back, to get me back, to get back their client, their customer, and them becoming clients or customers again? How do I bring them back? And the first place is just do something. Do some sort of communication. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be a simple email. Say, hey, this is Dudley. Haven't heard from you for a while. Really looking forward to having a catch up with you. These are the things that we're busy with right now. I'd like to understand how we can best serve you, and so on. And there are a bunch of ways to do outreach and so on to people who have gone dormant, because people don't stop buying, they don't stop investing, they don't stop living their lives. And just because you haven't done business with them, it doesn't mean that they've stopped doing business. It just means they're just not giving the business to you. Whose fault would that be? It would be yours. If you're looking at outreach, how much outreach have you done? And do you feel good about this week's outreach? And then in terms of retargeting and nurturing, people on your list that you know that if all you have to do is give them another call, give them another follow-up, send them a little bit more information, put them onto a nurture list, get them into a nurture campaign or an automated campaign. Have you set something like that up recently? What does this last week look like? Were you able to do that? So if I look at a cadence and I say, what have I done this week? And if I just focus on the sales and marketing aspect, and next office hours we can focus on other elements. But if we just do and just do those things, if I look at what do I do for reputation, it's only 4. Let me look at next week and plan. I need to do at least 1 or 2 things to improve my reputation, or at least gather information about my reputation. When last have you phoned your existing customers, not for new business, but to say, hey, this is Dudley. How's it going? I'd like you to please give me an assessment, a review on how are we doing right now on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 to 10, or whatever scoring you want to do. Let us get an understanding of where we're at in terms of reputation. How many times have you actually asked your customer how you are doing and how they feel about you? Because if you can do that as a campaign and not a sales campaign with your reputation element, and you're saying to them, how am I doing? How can I improve? What would you like to see additional or less of that I could be doing to make your life easier? Because in business, it's all about value add. If I'm not adding value to other people's lives, I should not be in business. So when I look at the reputation planning for the following week, I say, all right, at least let me block some time for reputation improvement next week. It could be 1 hour, it could be 2 hours, could be 2 or 3 activities within 1 hour. You can plan your own way, whichever works for you. If we look at the resell, in other words, selling to existing customers, or doing referrals, what can you do? What time can you allocate for the resell and referrals? Can you send out a campaign? Can you make some phone calls? Can you go back to those that you haven't spoken to in a few years and say, hey, remember me? We still do this. We can do that. We're now doing this. How's it going in your life? What can we do to serve you? And that's that resell, because what I'm saying is that there's potentially a forgotten group of, say, 60% of your customer base that'll probably buy from you again. That'll probably give you a referral if they can't buy from you again. And even if they buy from you again, they can probably still give you a referral. And then if we look one level up in terms of outreach, are you doing something on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, to set up a new outreach campaign? Have you got access to information, lists? The core principle still stays the same. Marketing, lead generation, sales always starts with a list, always starts with a name and a human being on the other side that I need to engage and communicate with. So when I do my outreach, do I have access to target? Do I know who my target customer is? Do I know where to find them? And am I doing enough to outreach at least every single week, enough to be able to take me and increase my customer base? Because in any customer base, as you would know, if you've been in business for a while, there's a natural attrition. There's natural falling off of existing customers. Customers change. At the worst end, they die, or they, or they have significant ill health or whatever it is. On the other side is they have their competitors knocking on their door, offering them different opportunities, different solutions. Are you top of mind? Do you know what's happening out there? And then in terms of the retargeting and the nurturing and side of things, so these are often people that have not yet done business with you, but you want to give them a glimpse into your world and what it would look like if you can work with them, become their partner, their strategic partner, and go with them on their journey to achieve their goals. What would that look like? So when we're doing nurturing and retargeting can be done in many fashions. If you do it full on digital fashion, what you'll do is you'll see where the traffic is, who's visited what sites, who's been active in certain areas, and how do we retarget them. And to a certain extent, these days, technology has got to the point where we can even monitor people's intent activities via their IP addresses and so on, where we could monitor if they are engaged with a particular topic or not. And there are tools available that will help us understand what their current, let's call it need, or their current requirement is, or what's on their mind right now. So as an example, if someone is looking to buy a new home, they would be searching for new homes. They would be on searching areas, homes for sale, property for sale, 4-bedroom unit for sale, 2-bedroom, whatever, house with pool, whatever it is. So they would be doing different searches, and those intent searches could be standalone, or they could be included in your retargeting. So if you've got people on your list that you've been trying to engage and that you've just not got any response, and then all of a sudden there's a spike in terms of what they now are searching for, but they are on your retarget list, those two intersect, and all of a sudden you've got a hot prospect that's on your retarget list, and you can now go out and speak to them. And I think that those are some of the key things. So in terms of technology, retargeting and all that, the technology is there, and also what questions people are asking. If you drop me a line, I can share even some free tools out there that you could go in and see intent, see what people are searching for, what questions they are asking. What are they truly looking for? And I'm not talking about your digital marketing, your digital agencies, normal keyword research and all that. That stuff is mundane. And in fact, I've got tools that I've got loaded on my PC, and 2 or 3, 4 clicks, and I can see short tail, long tail keywords, competitor keywords, tags, H1, H2. I mean, you can go all the technical stuff, but I think the key here is, and that takes 5 minutes. So if a digital marketing agency says they're doing keyword research, I think that often is a misnomer, and it's sold as something that it's not. The software these days can check all of that. What is missing, however, is target market research linked around your ideal customer and your ideal customer avatar. So if we look at those 4 levels: reputation, how is your reputation? Are you engaging at the best level? Are you putting your best self forward? Next level up, resell and referrals. Are you reselling to all your customers in your customer base and not neglecting 80% of them? And are you getting referrals? The third level up, which is the outreach. Now, you can't go outreach, just to summarize, you can't outreach if your reputation and your resell has fallen behind. If you don't have a decent reputation, why would someone new buy from you? If you haven't worked hard on looking after your entire customer base, and you have got this momentum where customers are becoming more ambassadors for you, and they are posting all kinds of things, because now it's all about sharing and so on, reselling, referrals, reputation, new sales come up quite easily, because now you understand your customer market, you understand who they are, what they want. Why? Because your reputation is good, your resell and your serving of your existing customer base is hopefully excellent. And by doing that, you know exactly what your customers need and want. It now becomes a lot easier to go to the outreach, because now you know exactly what your customers need and want. You know what their pain points are. You know what it is that they need in order to solve many of their problems. So when you're doing outreach, it's a lot more targeted, a lot more deeper, richer, and it's a lot more focused in terms of the target market that you're looking for. There's a saying, and I don't know how, I'm not sure where it's come from, but the riches are in the niches, and I'm not sure if niches is the right way to pronounce it, but in the niche, in that niche that you're focusing on, if you're targeting that niche properly with all that knowledge and reputation, there's no doubt in my mind that you'll be successful. And then the fourth element is intent. If you have people that you've approached, but they're not ready to buy yet, which there will be the bulk of people that you approach on a cold outreach will potentially not be ready to buy. But the statistics show that within 24 months of a cold outreach, and that person is in your target market, in your target avatar, within 24 months, they'll buy from you. What do you need to do? The simple thing is just keep communicating. We'll keep an eye on them. Make sure that you are communicating regularly, and make sure that you are top of mind. So today's office hours, and every Friday's office hours, 9 a.m. British summertime, we come together and we look at cadence, and we say, what did we do this week? What are we doing next week? And what problems and opportunities have arisen that I can address? So this week, I would like you, if you are part of this and listening to my office hours, I'd like you to be thinking about, what did I do this week to improve my reputation, to improve my resell, my referral rate? What have I done to outreach new customers and be more specific and targeted of who they are? And what have I done to retarget the people that have shown some interest, have got the intent, and have I been looking at the right kind of tools to help me see when those spikes are, when they are ready to buy? If I go back to the house example, buying a new home, people buy new homes every 5 to 7 years because of life changes, etc. That's the average. People don't live necessarily in houses for 40 years unless you Warren Buffett or that type of person. Most people have growing families, growing careers, they move home because of careers or business opportunities or whatever it is. People move every 5 to 7 years. On average, they buy a new home. But in between, they're not out there to buy new homes. But if I'm staying in contact with them and retargeting them, as soon as I see the spike and they're ready to buy a new home, I'm there. And I'm able to then increase my activity and increase my outreach. So these 4 pillars are so critical. So what have I done this week? If I just go through my calendar this week, did I spend enough time with reputation, resell and referrals, new outreach, and retargeting and nurturing my customer base? Have I done enough? Do I have the tools to help me monitor those things? If you want, we can talk about systems and that's at another office hours, because then we can talk a lot more about the software and the tools that are available for that. But today, it's really just a lot more about the actual the theory and the concept around those 4 crucial pillars when it comes to analyzing your activities each week. So, cadence. What did I do this week? What problems and opportunities and issues have arisen? What can I address and fix? Now, if I look at next week and I start planning and I start putting in my different calendar slots, do I do it randomly and just see how it goes? Or am I blocking off time specifically for proactive behavior? And if I could give you the tip for this week would be to say, if I take those 4 different categories, what is the minimum I can do to improve or at least to gauge my reputation? So one, as I mentioned earlier, one of the key ways to do it is literally phone your existing customers and ask them, how am I doing? Get some sort of result. Ask if you can get a referral. Ask if you can get some kind of testimonial. Ask if you can even do a case study. Ask if you can share their information with new potential customers, etc. So what are you doing with reputation? So block some time off for next week for reputation improvement, reputation evaluation. Set yourself up in terms of Google and Google locations. Google locations is a brilliant way to go up in the rankings. And also in terms of the way that you portray yourself, regional information is quite critical these days to improve your reputation. Next level up is resell and referral. Let's get to those customers I haven't spoken to for a while. Let's do a list, at least at the minimum. Just do your list this coming week. See if you can get a list of people you haven't spoken to but have done business with you sometime in the past. And if you do have a few really good customers, maybe set yourself a target to get a few referrals for the week. Say 5, 10, 15 referrals. If you're on your own, if you're a salesperson, if you're in the marketing department, set systems up. If you're a business owner, if you're a director of a company, where it's small, medium, or large, and even large publicly listed entities have multiple divisions. Each division is responsible for their own performance. Often they have their own sales and marketing teams, and they're not that big. Most sales and marketing teams, in my experience, are 5, 10, 15 people. You're lucky if you've got a 100-person marketing department and sales department. You're lucky if you've got 20 salespeople running around. And even if you do, what are they doing individually to do all these different things in terms of reputation, resell and referral, and then outreach, and then obviously retarget? It's team effort. We don't want to overload salespeople with too many things, so we need to start divvying up the activity. So let's go. Reputation, resell and referral, outreach. What am I going to do next week to initiate more outreach? Remembering that if I can come back to my reputation and my existing customer base, I'm going to be able to outreach cold much easier and much more targeted. And then in terms of nurture, set up at least one campaign to go out and nurture your people that have shown interest. And I bet you there's a bunch of them. And I bet you can go and look at all the networking meetings maybe you've attended. Look at the pile of business cards if you still collect them. Go through your LinkedIn profile list or people that you've connected with and just retarget. Select yourself a number of people, retarget, nurture, but most importantly, try and automate as much of that as possible. Okay, so that covers our office hours for today. What have you done this week? What problems and issues and opportunities have arisen? And let's plan next week a little bit more deliberately if you're not already been doing that. But let's maybe focus on those four levels: reputation, resale and referral, new outreach, and then retarget and nurture. Those four levels. I think if you do that, block yourself some time. Obviously, you've got other work to do during the week, but that will make a fantastic week next week, and we'll catch up with you next Friday, 9 a.m., very summertime right now, so it's GMT +1 or UTC +1. Listen to this recording. Join me live next time. During the week, please, you're welcome to send me emails. If you have anything specific, there's my email address. If you want anything specific you'd like me to cover in these sessions, please come online. The other thing is, or send me questions. The other thing that you can do is, if you want to be a guest on the show, you're welcome to join me as well. Thank you very much again. Hopefully this was useful and information that you could use, and may you double or triple your business in the next year or two. And if that's your goal, or alternatively, make business easier, make it simpler, and make it less stressful, and make it a much more fun and enjoyable place to be. Have a good week. Enjoy the week, and we'll see you next week, Friday. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, everybody. This is Dudley again. And if you need help with a future or existing post-merger integration, I want to invite you to arrange a free, no obligation meeting with us. During the meeting, we'll find out exactly what you need, what your challenges are, and we'll explain how our unique PMI slipstream method can help you. Simply call us or visit mergerintegration.co.uk. That's mergerintegration.co.uk, or come to our website, skillfulpursuit.com.